As Maine looks for ways to fight climate change, the state is looking at taking a close look at our 3 cargo ports. They will be a key component of offshore wind power development.
The Mills administration says that development is coming and that Maine needs to be ready to take advantage of it by prepping our ports. News Center Maine's Don Kerrigan reports.
Maine ports have already been used to bring wind turbine parts to shore from other states and countries. But the Maine DOT says those ports will be needed to take assembled floating turbines into the Gulf of Maine.
Offshore wind is coming.
Maine DOT Commissioner Bruce Van Note says the state's big cargo ports, Portland, Searsport, and Eastport, are essential parts of that development.
And if you are serious about doing something with climate change, offshore wind is something you have to consider. And if you're considering offshore wind, you need ports.
So the DOT is beginning a study of the Portland cargo facility and the port in Eastport to determine what they will need to handle huge offshore wind turbines and platform components. But the major focus right now is on Searsport. The University of Maine and Maine Aqua Ventus plan to use Searsport as a primary site to build the first floating platform and turbine scheduled to be deployed off Monhegan Island in 2024. But Van Note says the DOT is planning for a lot more development farther out to sea, and that Searsport is what's needed.
These things are just big in scale, and to handle them, you need, not to simplify it too much, you need a big flat area as level as possible next to deep water. And so that's what you kind of look for.
The existing port has some space, he says, but the DOT is also looking at developing part of nearby Sears Island. The state has owned that island for years, and it was the focus of major debate over a previous port proposal in the 1980s and early 90s. He's hoping any environmental opposition will be much reduced now.
I would say that the purpose of this port is really the climate. That's why we're looking at it, is to actually help the climate.
And he says survey work will begin on the island in the coming weeks. Commissioner Van Note says getting the ports ready for offshore wind will cost a lot of money, though he expects much of it to come from Washington. That's because the federal government is also pushing for offshore wind development. He says that offshore wind power is coming to the Gulf of Maine, and the state needs to be working now to get ready for it. In Augusta, Don Kerrigan, News Center, Maine.
The commissioner says the DOT will involve Maine's lobster industry in those discussions.
The governor's energy office said today offshore wind development in the Gulf of Maine seems likely, and noted that the U.S. Department of the Interior recently announced plans to begin commercial leasing for offshore wind projects along the East Coast, including areas of the Gulf of Maine.